Well, hello everyone. Talking today about politics. Not about like political stances in particular, the characters and, that are going around the stage these days, just about the subject of politics as a thing. I feel like that we get too deep into it these days, that it overwhelms too much of people's lives. um, and I'll give you a mea culpa here. I myself am deeply interested in politics. I probably spend too much time talking and thinking about it and arguing with people about it. Um, so I understand, and it is important. Politics are important. You need to be able to, know your positions, know where you stand and why, be able to defend them on a logical basis. Because in the end, you know, here in the West, here in our, the free world, it is incumbent on us to be involved in politics because we are the ultimate arbiters of it, or we should be, if all is working correctly. And so it's something that we have to do. That said, I feel like it gets a lot more weight than it is due in our modern society just because, well, it's all people have. I'm not going to lie. I've already said I get, pretty worked up about it. But in the end, politics isn't my whole day. It's not even close. So I have other things that are much more important to me. First and foremost is faith. I'm a Christian. I don't make any, I don't make any secret of that. And that comes first. And so, that's the determinant factor of, pretty much everything I do. Right? I try to make it that way. Like everybody else who claims the mantle of Christian, I fall short of that sometimes, but I do my best. After that, I'm a family man. It says, and that, I said, I would throw away anything else on this earth in favor of my family. Then we start, getting around to it. Honestly, my job is probably more important than politics because, again, family man, can't afford to not have one. I'm not going to throw away a job over some kind of political thing. Or I'm almost certainly not. Can't be foolhardy about these things. But what you see is that there are a lot of people today who have politics way high up on this pedestal, and it's dangerous. It's very dangerous. It's not a road to happiness. And while I'll tell you that, feelings of happiness are not, the be all end all of life, like some people think, they're very important. And more important than that is joy. And, sort of the wellspring of contentment that can, foster those feelings of happiness. Imagine happy feelings are like a garden. It's something that grows and blooms and fades in its time and seasons, but joy is like the spring that waters the garden. It is always there, unless you let it just sort of silt up and dry, then no. But without abiding joy in your heart, you're not going to have a whole lot of happiness in your life, and I'll talk more at length about that another time. But it's this idea of being part of something more lasting, right? And something that changes you before you're a part of politics. Politics should be downstream of all the transformative things. And there's nothing more transformative than true faith. if you are honestly serving the calling of God, it will change you in deep and unshakable ways. I myself have awfully poor tendencies. I I feel myself to be, and people argue with me sometimes about it, but I feel the hand of God on me because honestly, when it comes down to my own proclivities, I can be a pretty vicious and glib person. That's just who I feel I am sometimes. However, through the influence of faith, I can overcome my worst urges and actually live a life that shows some semblance of virtue and maybe just occasionally a slice of wisdom. Then there's marriage. Has changed me a lot. And that's what a good marriage will do. I mean, this whole idea of, I'm not ever going to change, blah, blah. You're stagnant and dying. Please change. Change something. Improve. And marriage has done that for me. My wife, is a beautiful woman. And it's more than just, what I see when my eyeballs intercept the rays the sun has bounced off of her. It's what I see in her everyday actions and the way that she so selflessly, cares for me and the home we've made together and the children we've had. And give me just a second. I need to go kiss that woman. Wife, where you at? All right, sorry. I said, and being a father also has changed me. And so, Andrew Klavan is a conservative commentator. I'm a big fan of his satire. It's hilarious. But he makes the point that living selflessly, it changes you. And so, marriage, parenthood, all those things, they take you outside of living for yourself. Because, when you're single, really, all you have is yourself. That's the only person you're really beholden to. I mean, you have these sort of vague, sort of responsibilities to society, but in the fine details, it's all about you. And getting married, it helps with that. You have to consider another person. But a lot of times these days, that person doesn't depend on you. And so, in the end, you can still be pretty selfish. I remember how I was as a young married man with no children, and I was better than I was as a young single man, but still had a lot of selfishness. All right. And religion can attenuate that somewhat, or faith, I would say. Religion is, just on its own, it's not exactly a tonic. But, faith can attenuate that somewhat because it, it brings you into a sphere where servanthood is important. But then becoming a parent really takes you outside of yourself because those little boogers, they are dependent on you. And they can do nothing. They can't survive without you. And it really brings into perspective that, man, this is the substance of life. Is to serve someone else. And to, have that joy and connection that you really can only find in altruism. And it's not something you're ever going to get out of politics. People say, oh, well, I got into politics to serve my country or to serve this or serve that. Or if you really wanted to do something to serve your community, your country, whatever, you would join the military, you would start a soup kitchen, something like that. You don't get into something as, flashy and full of benefits as politics to serve, really. My 2 bits on politicians. But anyway, and so those are the important things. Servanthood, connection, family. All of politics is about putting the in my mind these days, all of politics is about taking the focus off of where it should be and putting it on a bunch of goofy garbage that you don't really need to worry about. If we focus on serving one another and being genuine in love and in growing through responsibility and selflessness and living for things beyond, our own skin, I think the politics will sort themselves out. We all need to improve ourselves. That'll improve the society, and that'll improve the society's politics. That's been just sort of, my thoughts about that. So please, be involved in politics, know what you believe and why, know your candidates and all that, but much, much more than that, be involved in the life of your family, be involved, in the sacrament of marriage and, the sacred burden of child rearing. And let it change you for the better. Accept the challenge, meet it, survive it, really. There's no overcoming it. But, learn the lessons. And then after that, go vote. But don't, for the love of God, don't let politics be how you define yourself and be your primary occupation. Because it's empty. It really is. And you deserve better than that. Thank y'all for watching. I appreciate your time. Have a great day.